Hey, you guys. I made a video last night and I accidentally deleted it because I had to clean up some stuff because the video got cut off. So I finished it in another video. But anyway, I ended up deleting the original, or I mean the first half, and I have the second half. But anyway, I thought I'll go ahead and I want to talk about something different. So this second video doesn't have everything in it. So um, basically, what I was saying in my first video is um, there used to be a big thing about angel worship. Um, I think after that Oklahoma City bombing and all those children got killed, and the Christian nation, we didn't quite turn the right direction, and it was a bunch of pictures with the children, they become angels, and then a couple years went by, and I guess the churches and stuff were like, getting after this, like, hey, this is angel worship, and yeah. So I was just kind of going off about Nephilim worship, like everyone is focused on Nephilim, then because I was reading Genesis again. And regardless if they were found after the flood or not, they're gone because the Jews killed whatever those things were. And I've told you about Pastor Alan Nolan. He explains those things. I had done a couple of posts. So it's sort of like, don't worry about that anymore, because what I was going to mention in my video way back where I was talking about Genesis and the seed and the seed and the seed and just whatever, Cain and Abel, and but I didn't connect any dots, so I didn't want to bring it up. But in from what I read, it's it's not about the Nephilim. It's not about that. It is and then the post I posted the other day about the Amalek and Baal, and how they couldn't put all the MLK for that god because it was so evil. They didn't want his name ever mentioned again. And then I had seen a near-death experience. I think I posted her too, where she said, you don't want to keep saying these names, it's not that they're going to be conjured up because they're all dead. But okay, so what I had come across, but I didn't bring it up or mention it, is that seed. So the flood killed everything, but that seed was prophesied to be at the very end. Well, actually, it has already happened. Jesus has already crushed the head of Satan because he conquered death, hell, and the grave, and he is now the sacrifice of the world. He crushed Satan's head. Now, this could be a Christophany happening now. I mentioned about Iran and crushing that head, but the fact remains that it was prophesied in Genesis, so that seed of Satan had to carry on. But it's not carried on. Satan is Satan. Fallen angels are different. Nephilim are different. Satan is always around. He's going to always be around till the end, till he gets thrown in the lake of fire. So whether two snakes got on that ark, because it says all unclean, two of their kind, male and female. And if Satan, God said, you're going to crawl on your belly, eat the dust, no more legs. So for how many, 1,000 years, 2,000 years before the flood, there were snakes that had no feet anymore. Now, if that's where the seed of Satan remained, I don't know, but he's throughout the Bible called the serpent, and in Revelation. So to me, that nobody needs to worry about any kind of angels or fallen angels, or are they alive or are they not? Who cares? It's all about the seed of Satan. And he was there before the flood, and he's going to be there till the end. So, but I guess I saw a video. So now that's going to bleed into my second video that where I accidentally deleted the first because I got off on another topic. Because I feel like this is important. I shared a post from a righteous perspective, and they in their okay, I've already said this in the second video. So, but what I didn't say after, well, because I didn't say it because I didn't know it, but after that video, I went to go watch some other videos, try to find them about the old history of the Black people that I have seen. Maybe they're all scrubbed because all I know or all I saw was the history of their first hospital, I think, in North Carolina. And then I see something that happened in, I forget where, maybe Tennessee. Anyway, it doesn't matter where they burned their whole city down, you guys. The Black people, and this is, I'm for all minorities, but first and foremost the Jews, but don't mess with minorities or poor people or just the oppressed. Don't mess with them. I get so angry. But anyway, for years I've known about this history of the Black people. They fought in the war. Well, David Barton will tell you that. But they had their own, and there used to be documentaries. Maybe they're around somewhere, but they used to have their own societies. They were well educated because it was segregated. And then this Jim Crow. I know nothing about Jim Crow. You guys, I might know some things, some historical things, some political things, but they're all sporadic, kind of like computers with me. I don't know what a modem is, but I may know how to press enter, or so I don't know them in consecutive order. I may know bits and pieces of, some are very important things, some are maybe minor. I don't. So the Jim Crow thing, I don't understand that. I don't know about that. I know the KKK is bad, but there was one video that I found, something about before the Jim Crow or after the Jim Crow. Well, whatever that era was, back in the 1920s and before, or maybe a little after, because things were segregated, they won't operate or patronize a Black person in a hospital. So they all had to have their own hospitals. They had their own doctors. They had their own lawyers. They had their own homes. They had their own cars. They had their own schools. They were very smart. And if you could find these histories of all the black and white shows, black and white pictures, because they'll show you all the pictures of history. Like I said, the only ones I found were of the hospital, one hospital. I'm sure they had more. And like, it was called the Black Wall Street. And anyway, so what happened was, Martin Luther King Jr. And I'll share a video, okay? Because I found those too. So, but there's more than that. Martin Luther King on his deathbed literally said, "I think I have led my people into a burning building," because what Martin Luther King Jr. had done. Now, see, I'm not political. I don't know this, but from what I heard from the righteous perspective on that video, it reminded me of this Black history. So I went to look it up. And then one thing led to another. And then, so I don't know anything about Martin Luther King. Sorry, y'all. I know he's a big figure and it's about Black people, but I'm not Black. So, okay. And even if I'm not Black, I should know history, but I don't know that part. See how I'll know bits and pieces, but I don't know all of it. So Martin Luther King is the one who wanted to get the government involved, because so all these Black societies that had it made, they had it going on amongst their own selves. They wanted to integrate, but the way it was done, they literally got stripped of everything. And it was already racism and prejudice going around rampant. Okay, so what this is all leading to is, of course, end times. And also this Iranian thing. People are panicking again over Trump's negotiations. Trump has to negotiate with the least riled up terrorist out there right now. Why would he negotiate with Saudi Arabia or the UAE? They like him. They're for what he's doing. Why does he need to? The UAE and Saudi Arabia aren't on the side of the terrorists, so he has to negotiate with Pakistan and terrorist countries who are not basically getting their hair caught on fire by Trump right now. So they will kind of negotiate, right? To me, all along, these negotiations aren't really that. But then, of course, I made another video, but I got too stuttery because I don't know what I'm talking about. But what I heard made sense. So I tried to explain it and it wasn't coming out right. So, but another reason for these negotiations might be because Iran once had a deal. You can look it up in before the Khomeini takeover. The Shah, they were doing nuclear talks, but the Shah got overthrown, and then the Nazis moved in, and then, so not literally them, but I can't think of the terrorists moved in, and they started doing stuff. So there was an agreement, or whatever you want to call it. If it was binding or not, I don't know, back in 70 something. So when the Ayatollahs or the bad people took over, they really messed things up, of course. But there was still that agreement. So that could be why he uses that language of talks, because there literally is an agreement. And even further than that, which it gets muddled, is technically these terrorist Islam Muslims, they don't believe in nuclear. So why are they even doing this? Because they're liars. That's why. So, like I said, I'm just throwing out pieces for you because I don't know where the histories meet. But what I think is important is when I saw that video that I posted last night from a righteous perspective, and this guy, I've seen a clip of him. So he's smart. He's a very, he's on the money. It reminded me of the Black history. Then when I tried to find the Black history that I remember hearing about, I saw a couple a couple I can share. But then they started like the Martin Luther King, they brought that to my mind. Then I know about the Democrats. The Democrats are the Confederates who didn't want freeing the slaves. They did not want to free the slaves. The Republicans fought with them, the Confederates, the Democrats, to free the slaves. But the Black people now all want to vote for Dems. But the Dems are all for keeping them down. And they've been doing this since after Martin Luther King, since after their cities and their schools and everything got destroyed. Okay, so this Democratic Party is so evil. And if the Black people, which are figuring this stuff out with the Democrats, if they ever figured out what their real history is, I'm sure a few small amount know about it, obviously, because it's out there. I saw it years ago, and whatever you could find, you'll find it. The Black people are coming to knowledge of these Dems and their agenda. They're going to figure it out from the past history, what they've always done to them, and then Martin Luther King accidentally screwed him royally. I talk about in my second video from last night about this welfare system destroyed the African American family on purpose. So did abortion. Well, anyway, so if these Black people ever learn about what happened, like what I'm trying to explain to you right now in very choppy descriptions, they're going to be really mad. This is so disgusting, and the masks are already falling off of the Dems. They've been falling off. Satan is getting unleashed. I've been saying this. God has an appointed time for things, and he is allowing Satan some reign. Okay. And then the whole world is going to be against Israel. Okay. So that's like a conglomeration mixture of all this. The Jews, these blacks, these things stack up. These bad histories, bad agendas, um, the evil seed has been here all along, and it's not going anywhere. I don't know what it's morphed into, but it's out there. If the Satanists and the Satan worshipers and the satanic churches want to conjure this stuff up all the time, and the witches and stuff, all like Aleister Crowley type people, if they've been all these years, and they've been doing it in the Dark Ages, in the Middle Ages, in the All Ages, there's always that seed of Satan that's going to get stirred up. And God is stirring it up. I know I say that, like, Trump is worried about the midterms. You know what? Like I said in that other video, you don't need to worry about. God has already brought us this far. Nobody should be worrying about Trump's got to win the midterms. God has taken us this far. He's going to give Trump the midterms unless we all get raptured, you know. So I feel like this is the last Trump. I hope and pray it doesn't go beyond Trump, whether it's the whole 4 years of Trump or not. I want this to be the last Trump. I want to go home. So, but this Democratic thing, their masks fall off all the time. Now, God is giving us victories. This Massey guy, I don't know much about him, but he's bad. The Pratt guy, this channel, Righteous Perspective, and the Rubin Report both were saying how Pratt probably won't get voted in because the Californians are too stupid. Well, now I heard on the Rubin Report, I posted it, he's now running like in the top. He's winning. So God is giving us victories, and that's what we have to look at is victories. But still, you also have to look above, ahead, or look to Jesus. Look for him to come. And these black people, the Jews, are going to be hated by all nations. It's going to become a burdensome stone. Now, God recycles things. So this burdensome stone, and like say Zechariah 14, those are tribulation times. Those could even be at the very end of the 1,000-year reign where there's another big battle where Satan is unleashed. I mean, I don't think so, but maybe. So God is going to recycle this stuff. Israel is a burdensome stone right now. Jew hatred, it is supernatural. It is the bad supernatural. There is no rationale for it at all whatsoever. On top of that, these Democrat masks are falling because they're under the gun. You know, they wanted to take it slow for years and drag this out because they love power. They love seeing people under their lies, under their control. It's fun. They enjoy seeing that because the devil enjoys that. Puppets on strings, you know. But because Trump got in and won, they're like, oh shit, we got to rush this along. And then while they're rushing it, they're tripping and their masks are falling. So they'll spew out some more crazy and more crazy. And people, Dems, whites, blacks, everybody are waking up. They're freaks, possessed. They're possessed. They have been all along. But God has unleashed some stuff. And whatever that was black in their heart, Satan got free reign over that. He gets to grip it. He gets to mangle it. He gets to spew it out of their mouth. It's called possessed. When you're possessed, you're going to say what Satan wants. You know, like the woke right. They're listening. I'm just trying to go through this one video real quick because I don't know his, I mean, he's good. But I think he believes in, I don't know if he believes in the rapture or not. So I don't I don't really watch him religiously. So, but what he was mentioning is, well, now I lost my train of thought. So he brought something up, and I'm like, you know what? So yeah, sure, we need to focus on God brought us this far. He is going to bring us all the way through. But the other hand, God has a time, a prophecy. He wrote it down, and he's not going to backtrack. If you want to think that way, sure, fine. I know there's Joel. If my, I'm going to pour out my spirit on all flesh. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. I was looking for that too while I was watching for the dates. And all these dream channels, we were all saying that, oh, it's happening. The Holy Spirit is, But it says all flesh. But of course, the ones that are seared won't feel it. See? The demons, like the possessed, like their heart was already black, so God gave them over to Satan, and now they're full on. Just because that says that doesn't mean that's going to be a whole generation where the Holy Spirit is fallen on all flesh. That could happen, and it lasts just a day or an hour before the rapture. So you can't say, oh, but that hasn't happened yet. It did happen in Acts on Pentecost, but it might happen again, yeah. Because God likes to rotate things, some things. And if it happens again, it didn't last forever in the book of Acts. And in the book of Acts, I looked that up one time, he's not even quoting identically the Joel. I don't remember what I was wondering and asking Jesus about with that, but they don't exactly line up and match because one has something that the other one doesn't. But anyway, I'm not saying it's not true or anything. I'm just saying. So even if that happened, it faded away in Acts. It didn't last generations on end. Otherwise, we'd be in it right now. So whether that's happened or not, whether it's going to happen again before the rapture, I don't think anybody knows. And even if it does happen again before the rapture, it may not last. What do you expect? Do you think it's going to last a whole generation or something? Generations? No, it's probably just going to last a little while because the wicked are going to get more evil. Do you think they're going to get nicer over there on the Democratic side? No. They're out for blood. They've gotten a taste for blood. I've been saying this. They're going, if we wouldn't get raptured and the outpouring of the Holy Spirit happen upon us and we're running around like wild banshee Jesus freaks, don't you think they're going to get more vicious and vile? Not because of them getting mad. No, because Satan is rising up even more in them. They're out for blood. They've gotten a taste for blood. Even Ben Shapiro and another video I shared of an analysis guy, he's not even a Christian, he even said, it's too deep-rooted. There's really nothing that's going to reverse from that. We may get a reprieve. Maybe Trump will get all 4 years. Maybe there'll be a Rubio or a JD get in next. But you guys, somebody explained about first of all, there's the teacher unions that is hard to penetrate in these schools, the teacher unions. There was something else that's hard to penetrate that politically, that you can't tear that down in one term or 2 terms or 3 terms of Republicans, good Republicans. There's a couple of things that are so embedded that kind of are the engine of America that you see it now. They're rising. The evil is rising. There's certain factions in the mechanism of running America that are in the mechanics of it that are so embedded right now that you cannot even get rid of them. It would take years to get rid of them. And it would have to be a good, honest Christian president to do it, because they're not going anywhere. I don't know the political terms because I'm not involved with this, but I'm just telling you, this Black history, if you look it up and how they were, and you probably already know about Jim Crow, and if you look in, the Righteous Perspective channel is going to teach you all about the Democratic Party. They are communists right now, but before that, they were Confederates. The Confederate flag, they were against freeing the slaves. So, and then if you're concerned about Trump and his negotiations, to me, that's either because of that deal back in the 70s with Iran, and so we do have to negotiate technically, I don't know, or that's just his stall tactic. What are you going to say to a loony death cult? Oh, we're not going to talk to you. Trump has to do some things, so he has to pretend he is negotiating with them so he can, plus that all the money that's being lost to all the proxies right now. They cannot rearm because they have no money. And I don't know why people freak out that it will go on and on, because it can't go on and on. I don't care if the midterms are way far away, like in November, and it goes on till the month before November. It can't, it won't, because he has to start cleaning up and getting the momentum off, getting that cleared up, squared away. He's got to have that squared away months in advance before the midterms. If he's thinking carnally, oh, I don't trust God. Now, I'm saying we got to work for the midterms. I'm not saying just sit around and we don't have to, but I'm saying no matter how bad it looks, and God is giving us God winks of small victories, like the Pratt and the this and the that. So if people want to get afraid and say Trump is going too far with his art of the deal, and he doesn't, I don't think that. I don't. And then some were worried about like the prisoners in prison, and I've made comments. I'm like, look, yes, they're getting killed every day probably, but they've been getting killed for 47 years. Do you want to rush in there and do it half-ass just for some prisoners in Iran? And then all the I's aren't dotted and the T's aren't crossed, and there's some still loose ends, and all because let's hurry for these. But yet now for years down the road and for future presidents might screw things up, then more Iranians will die. You have to do it right, and not be hot-headed and say, oh, but these prisoners are getting persecuted or beheaded every day. Oh, so we should rush in and cause more deaths because we're going willy-nilly for those prisoners? There's soldiers, there's other Iranians, they could hear about that. They're like, oh, they're trying to free those prisoners. And then they'll just start mass murdering a bunch of Iranian civilians that aren't even protesting. They could just go door to door and start killing them all. So what are you people thinking? You major on the minor. I know it's not, humanitarian isn't a minor thing, and I don't mean to say that or say that you're doing that. I'm just get frustrated that you go off on something that is a fact, but you aren't piecing it together that if you do it just for that, you could cost even more lives, number one. Number two, more lives in the future, because we didn't do it zipped up tight. You know what I mean? Zip it up tight. We got to zip this up tight. No loosey-goosey here. All right. So this is all I was going to say, really. I might go over the book of Genesis. I keep finding more stuff, but you'll hear about that in my other video, what I think of that. And so here's this video, and I'll share my part 2 since I deleted part 1. But I think I already discussed about what I was discussing in the part 1. So, all right, God bless you guys, and just keep trusting God. And if you're a Christian or an observant Jew who believes in God, and you're looking for the redemption, and you're looking for any of you guys, us, all of us, you have to look at this also as well, like it is end time. So why are you even shocked anyway? Why? It's going to end if you know anything about your Jewish Bible and prophecy. You should be saying this is normal also, okay? And why would you? I mean, I'm looking, we got to fight to the death. We're going to fight to free Israel. We're going to fight anti-Semitism. We're going to fight for the Iranians. We're going to fight for the blacks. We're going to fight for all these. And if God gives us more time, great. Blessed be his name. Hallelujah. But we're always to be looking for the redemption. We're always to be looking for the rapture, because we'll get sidetracked. We're going to get too comfortable. But yes, we fight the evil. But to get worried so much about something, and yet you're not, where's my coffee? Darn it, my mouth. Where you're not focusing on the victories he's given us, God has given us, okay? And you start backtracking. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. God doesn't like that for any of his followers. He doesn't like it when the Jews do it. He doesn't like it when the Christians do it. Remember Lot's wife. You know, she looked back. Any kind of looking back, any kind of... Now, we got to, don't make past stupid mistakes. You got to remember bad history. I'm just saying, how do you know? You don't know Trump. You don't know what God is doing all the stalling. It could be God talking to him saying, Trump, stop. We're going to do this. It's going to look crazy. Everybody's going to go crazy about it. But God is the one swaying his heart. Even if Trump didn't want to do talks, it could be God making him do it. Maybe Trump does want to do talks. If God doesn't want that, don't you think God would stop him? Because God has done this much with Trump thus far. He's going to finish it. So, okay, God bless you guys. Bye.